The Mom View is brought to you by Moms for America in partnership with the Herzog Foundation, empowering moms and championing Christian education nationwide.
Mass shootings are now so common that they're one-day stories at most. They happen in all public spaces, from houses of worship to our children's schools. And safety protocols have helped, but Uvalde showed us that they are not foolproof. The shooter walked in through an unlocked door at Robb Elementary School. But today, we are talking about a brand new technology that will help keep us all safer. Next on the Mom View. Welcome to the Mom View. Today, joining us, we have a guest host, Sarah Love. Hey, Sarah. Now, for those of you who might be new to the Mom View, we are a group of like-minded women who have found it difficult, if not impossible, to find our viewpoints represented in the media these days. So instead of complaining about it, we created our own TV program, like moms do, right? We are moms, and we understand that all issues are mom issues. And that's especially true about our topic today, which is student safety.
That's a big topic.
Absolutely. It's an extremely big topic. And I don't know, I always say about this, but the rest of the world is like, you kidding me? So they're worried about another kid shooting another kid. When in other countries, they worry about the cartel. They worry about other issues, right, that are the threat in school. They don't have to worry about another kid, about a person walking in just with a gun, right? So it amazes me that we're facing that in the safest country on earth. To me, that's what America is all about, and I want to remain that way. I don't know about you ladies, right? So
it is what I know that my kids are going to school. They're going to come home. I mean, what did that really mean, that say? I mean, you send your children to school, you want them to be able to come home.
Absolutely.
That's where we are.
But now everybody is afraid to send their kids to school. I mean, I've had to put my kids back into, it's a charter, but it's still public charter. So I put them back in and I'm terrified. They went and I cried the first day. I'm like, why am I sending my kids back here?
Am I doing
but I think we have to do it. It's hard to, even though it's rare, they do happen. And we've noticed they've been increasing, but no protocols have really changed. It's kind of been the same thing. It's just, and I think the kids are a little desensitized, right? They go through it. They're first afraid when they're young, right? They're in kindergarten or pre-K and they have to go through these drills. But I have a 16-year-old and he's just like, Mom, it's just another day at school. Like, they don't even care.
There's two preventative things that I think we need to talk about. And one is we need to have a solution to protect our kids when there is a shooting. We also need to figure out why the shootings are happening and prevent them.
Right.
Because these are kids. These are kids that are doing this. What is happening to our society when kids feel like the only outlet that they have, or whatever reason they're doing this, they have to go in and hurt other kids?
Yeah. It is, the society has changed, the culture has changed. And we all know that our kids are in a crisis all across the country. And not everybody, of course, is a shooter, but there's a lot of depression and suicide and drugs and hate and right. And there's a lot of gaslighting and there's a lot of manipulation, and all this, can be a huge problem. Even if they threats, I just think about my son. Sometimes there'll be a threat at the school. It's a fake threat. Nobody really has a gun, but everybody has to react as if there is a true threat. And I just never remember this when I was growing up. Nobody was threatening to come in and shoot up the school or shoot anyone. So this is tragic, to your point, that it's even happening. So we've got to figure out why, and we've got to figure out how to protect. So it's a double-sided issue here.
So what do you guys think the prevention is? I'm really excited to see these guys who are going to be coming on and showing us something to protect our kids when it's happening. So we got maybe a really good solution for protect. What about prevent?
It's a good one. Well, they have another to show up.
All right. I think one, it starts in the home, right? Like, we need to make sure that our parents are present, that they are creating safety within their own homes, so that their children, when they do have some kind of mental issue or emotional instability, that they can come to them and discuss that. but also we need to make sure that our psychological, our medical professionals are able to actually do their job.
And they're more responsible with guns. I mean, I am pro gun.
Yeah.
We have guns in our house, and we have to be responsible. We have to treat them not like toys and teach our children not to treat them like toys, right? Like really be responsible with our
Got ownership.
Maybe you're a little bit, maybe a little bit more Jesus. Yeah. Maybe that might.
Yeah, what's your heart posture like? That's good. That's
I think it's the mental care issue in America. I know in Illinois we have stripped our mental health budget to nothing. I don't know why, but we continue to do that in Illinois. So we don't have the capacity to take care of those that are clearly having issues.
And we also have government that are silencing, right? Or the three-layer agencies or, medical industries that are kind of silencing our medical professionals for actually treating, mental disability. So
that's the thing. We are all about giving solutions and other ways.
Absolutely. Well, coming up, we'll meet an inventor who was fed up with the ever-increasing number of mass shootings. He came up with an ingenious solution to safety evacuation in buildings in an emergency. Stay with us.
The Herzog Foundation exists to catalyze and accelerate the development of quality, Christ-centered K-12 education so that families and culture flourish. To do so, we've created comprehensive programs designed for Christian schools across the nation. One of those programs is found at readlion.com. The Lion carries news articles covering issues especially related to the education of children. These are timely, critical, must-read articles for families, educators, and leaders. Another program is the Herzog Foundation Institute, where we provide training for Christian educators led by national thought leaders in subjects such as marketing, donor development, and culture building. All training events are fully funded by the Herzog Foundation. And finally, with new Christian schools popping up all over the country, we've created a free online resource to help with the process. HF Schoolbox provides lessons and free mentorship to help launch groups navigate the startup process every step of the way. We're the Herzog Foundation. You can find out more at herzogfoundation.com.
And welcome back to the Mom View. Joining us are Michael Sandifer and Brian Doro. Michael is the co-founder and co-creator of SafeEvAC, a new evacuation technology. And Brian is a chief advisor at SafeEvAC. He was formerly with the Department of Homeland Security. Could you please share it with us what SafeEvAC really is, even so our moms understand what this is?
Well, it's a threat identification and intelligent evacuation technology. So we were looking at how could we help take away some of the problems and stress and mitigate these shootings. And so we came up with what does intelligent evacuation using AI technology.
Oh, that sounds amazing and would be so helpful. So where do you come in? What part do you play in this?
So we know, unfortunately, after a lot of these mass casualty shooting incidents, there's been a call for action. What do we do? How do we stop it? How do we prevent it?
Right.
And certainly we do have the product here that will do that. It's based on technology, and it's more importantly, as you look over some of these shootings, we have a window of 4 minutes. Okay.
4 minutes.
4 minutes.
Wow, that's a really short window.
If you look at these events that have occurred, there's casualties that are piling up, and so we got to get law enforcement there as soon as possible. And with this system, first of all, law enforcement is going off cues. People screaming, looking for the gun, listening for gunshots. This system will tell them exactly where to go, where the threat is, so they can mitigate that threat and save as many lives as possible.
One of the things that has really bothered me is this idea of stay in place. Because I mean, if the shooter is in the cafeteria, and you've got kids who are all the way on the other side in the gym, why would they stay there while the shooter's working his way over? Why would we not get them out? And that has really bothered me.
Yeah, thank you.
Isn't it the answer?
Here's the answer. Michael will show you exactly. This is the answer, right?
Yeah, there's two philosophies to shelter in place or run, hide, and fight, and both of them are situational. Both of them could save your life, and both of them could get you hurt. So what this system does, it can take the best of both of those philosophies and put them to use to save lives.
So you have a video, right?
Yes, we do. Yes.
That will help us understand exactly how this works.
Okay, well, let's take a look at the SafeEvAC in action in 2 different classroom scenarios. Check this video out.
And September 1st, 1939 through September 2nd of 1945. Who can help tell me what happened during those dates?
Danger. Shelter in place immediately. Avoid the threat. This is not a drill.
Okay, go to the table. Leave your stuff here. Okay, this one.
Morning, class. Today we're going to have our discussion dealing with money management and home ownership.
Alert. Evacuate immediately. Follow the green flashing strobes to exit. This is not a drill.
All right, guys, come on, let's go. We want to do. Let's go.
So I have to say I'm a little tearing up here because it makes you realize just how real
I have like so much anxiety.
that is. But to have something where they can get out, and they're noticing at the end that the police knew exactly which door to go to, so you could get in there and get the kids out.
So
I don't like this at all. This whole entire scenario shouldn't happen.
Right.
But we're all looking for answers and solutions to save our kids. This is an answer. And
So will this work in a realistic situation as it does in the video? I mean, with everybody's emotions high, all of the anxiety, all of the emotions running around with the flashing lights and all of this, people panicked. Will this work in an actual real scenario?
Well, one of the things we worked on was to make it simple.
Okay.
So, we have the primary colors. Green means go. Red means you're in danger. Yellow means caution, don't go that way.
Okay.
And then we have a fourth color, blue, and that means shelter in place. So these are the primary colors, red, green, and yellow are kindergartners understand that coming in. So we keep it simple, and we also give both the visual and the verbal commands. Okay. So you're giving, and so along with that, then you get to the group activity. So if you see enough people running in the right direction, you will know also to go that way.
Teachers are trained. I mean, the school is up to par, or the facility or the mall or the movie theater, they all know this procedure. And so these exit signs are cameras, communication, and directionals.
Yes, we have a speaker, microphone, camera, and the sensor in there.
You always talk to the kids if they're sheltering in place. The lights are off. You can communicate with them to keep them calm and give them direction.
Yes, we can communicate with them individually through each one of the signs.
Now, is this only for active shooters or other natural disasters?
It's applicable to any number of needs. It'll be used for storms many more times than it will be used in a violent situation.
Yeah, I think the key area is we have a school setting here, but this is for any building.
Sure.
Okay.
Right? This is for anybody's safety. It could be an office building. It could be a church. It could be
theater.
a movie theater. But this is for any building. These active assailant, these mass shootings occur everywhere. So we're using this as illustration, but it's a much broader scope of any building.
So how does this work?
Well, shall I demonstrate?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. Well, first of all, point to somebody you want to be. Pick a person out. You're purple. And everybody gets to pick somebody.
Teacher, so
Okay.
should say I'm the teacher right here. Okay.
I'll be this lonely gentleman right here in this little hallway, this little corner. We have the sports.
Okay. So now you've all picked somebody.
Okay.
But let's say I'm going to come down to this end. Let's say a threat has been identified in this area, and this would occur immediately across the entire building. Of course, they know there's a threat here. Now you've been notified, but you're in danger. So you would be like the students in the video. You would immediately shelter in place.
Because there's no route for me to get out without running into the potential problem. The cameras are seeing, the cameras know where the
So there are cameras within these devices here. In the
When an alert is triggered,
Okay.
every camera in the whole place kicks on.
Okay.
This digital floor plan that you see comes to our operations center. It goes to 911, and then it also goes to the school or the facilities. And so if you look, who's in the gym?
Me.
So see, you've got lots of routes, lots of escape routes. You were over here. So you're going to look up and you're going to see
exit right there.
but then you're going to see yellow going this way, which means don't go that
way.
And you, where were you?
I'm done.
Oh, you're done. You're not moving.
She can't go anywhere.
Now you were in the cafeteria. This sign is yellow, which means so we don't put anybody in the path of danger. We move them to the closest, safest exit.
Okay.
Now, any place there's a green exit, it will be yellow outside. So first responders can see that. Any place that's red, it'll be red. So when first responders arrive there, they will know. We've tested it in real schools with students. In 20 seconds, they had sheltered in place. Within another 30 seconds, you see everybody's close to an exit. So we are moving everybody out or moving away from the
You
threat.
have almost the whole entire school evacuated, and you've got that shooter.
They put a smoke detectors, and they detect smoke too.
Yes. It could be for storms. It can tornadoes.
So how would it happen in a tornado?
Well, in a tornado, here's a scenario of a tornado. Let me go to that one. So what we do, we have it pre-programmed. Room 122, go to room 123. So we can take everybody from the exterior dangerous areas, whether it's an outside physical threat or whether it's a tornado, and within just a few seconds, we move them into the interior.
That is amazing. And how is this helpful with you guys?
Well, you looked at certainly with law enforcement, but I just want to go back because it was important. Law enforcement has no idea. They're getting the intel,
Right,
they're getting reports coming in. But when you walk into a chaotic situation like this, remember, time is of the essence,
Absolutely.
right? We have less than 3 minutes, 4 minutes may be the case, but they're coming in, they're picking up the same cues. Red, they're coming over here. They know where to isolate the threat right here. At the same time, the rest of the, you have others, somebody may be injured, they can care to those that are injured right away. So that is so important.
Takes away all the guesswork.
It does.
Okay.
It does, because they don't know you're going into, and we know these campuses are large. Right? And so it does take away the guesswork, and they're going, it's precision. They know exactly where to go. They're following the same fears.
Do they have drills like when you put it in the system?
We will. There's a lot of trainings that will be involved in
So
it.
the kids already know. It's not like, hey, this system is in here, shock the light screen. They've already know exactly what to do, like a fire drill.
They will know. But good thing you brought fire drills. So we know since 1942, we have not lost anybody in a school fire. But yet there are so many codes, there's so many fire suppression units, but we know what's happened with the active assailants. We do lose people, unfortunately. This is the solution to them.
What's the feedback to law enforcement on this?
Overwhelmingly
that's
outstanding.
Everyone
did talk to you.
bet.
We've talked to the National Association of School Resource Officers. We've talked to sheriffs. We've talked to law enforcement. It's been outstanding. Overwhelmingly support. They're endorsing it. They're supporting us. We have focus group where we are certainly using them as our sounding board, because certainly we know they support anything that's going to save lives and actually put their response even more effective when they're going into a dangerous situation like this.
Are you currently in any schools?
Well, no, we're not currently in a school. Our first installation is at the Muscatatuck Urban Training Center.
Okay.
It's the largest anti-terrorism training center in the world. There's about 200 buildings there. They have prisons, they have schools, they have hospitals. And so they bring people in to train them in that urban terrorism scenario. So we have a system installed there. We're using it to do training and bring in school districts, folks that are interested. I mean, we showed this to the Academy Awards. They're waiting for us to come in and see it. So it's been a really exciting event. But we purposely were looking for a government entity to get this going into, because that opens up everything else.
That's about elected representatives. What is the reception? Have you been able to talk to any elected representatives in Congress or in states?
we've had just well, I'll let you talk about DHS first.
Yes. So we briefed high-level senior leadership at DHS, Department of Homeland Security.
Yes.
They are very favorable in favor of this. Again, it goes down, a solution has been asked for a long time. How are we going to stop this? How are we going to prevent this? We know these are vulnerable populations. We have to do something. And again, as I mentioned, going on that solution, we have it. And certainly we got the support of the federal government, politicians. I know they briefed folks on the Hill about this. And so now we're at that crucial point of moving forward where we need the support, but now we got to look at start coming forward.
In a hearing room in Congress.
Absolutely. There's like, this would be so cool.
Yeah,
Seeing this, we've gotten really amazing bipartisan support.
But is the system difficult to install?
No, it's fairly simple. Now, obviously, if you're doing a retrofit, it's more problematic. You got to take ceiling towers down and run the cables and all that.
Okay.
But it's very affordable. You know, the schools spend a lot more money on other things, and so this should fall well within their budgets. We're also going to be offering it on a managed service, so there's no big outlay of cash up front. But then there's also the new or remodeled aspects. It's almost a no-brainer there because you're already running cable, you're already putting signs there.
Already putting X signs in
So it makes it's just there's no reason not to have this in any new structure.
So I want to go back to the support system because you said you have an offsite that is communicating with the school during this fire. So are you communicating with the police and law enforcement at the same time?
Yes, when and that's all obviously that's all up to the client, what kind of communication networks and where they want this to go. But normally what would happen is if a alert is triggered, and understand the alert, if somebody just hot screams gun, you can't evacuate.
Right.
But what that does, our system will pick that up. This camera would come on in this room, and we could put our eyes on it or the school resource officer so they can confirm it's real. So we help eliminate false positives that you guys have heard play. Yeah. And then the other aspect of that, it's a probability scale. Of when is a probability high enough that we determine it's time to send somebody down there or time to initiate the evacuation. So all those occurs. But when an initiation occurs, like I say, this instantly goes to our operations center, and this feed goes out to whomever they want it to.
So when you say initiation, does that mean shots fired, or does that mean like a call to there's an intruder in the room?
It could be a teacher has given a code word.
Okay.
It may be that they just see a gun.
Okay.
And the teacher can give a code word.
Okay, so let's pause there.
Code word.
So we talked about the outside operations, and the like the fire drills, the threat drills. So obviously the teachers are being trained to know certain tactics and skills to be able to prepare for something like that. So what do you mean by code word?
Well, and let's say the teacher has observed a gun, but it hasn't been banished yet. In other words, she's just observed somebody.
Oh, okay.
At that point, and she say, okay, today we're going to talk about whatever word you want to talk, whatever.
So all the teachers know what the code
And the administration.
Yeah.
And based on that school system, and they pick their own.
Yes. It's a password. Yes.
Oh, that's good. Okay, and this can be used for anywhere, like libraries, grocery stores.
Yes.
Literally anywhere.
Yeah, churches
right.
are a great place to, that's going to be one of our early, we think that's going to be an early adopter, is going to be churches. And, but, you look at airports, you look at big box retailers, so this would work great in a big box retail store because the same nomenclature that we have that we ring around the building, you see red, you see yellow, and you go to the back of the store.
What about outdoor events? Is this possible for an outdoor event? I mean, as you know, we've seen recent situations with our president and his attempted assassination. So do you think this would be useful?
Yeah, what we did with our lighting nomenclature, it's a triangular pattern. Red clockwise means danger. Yellow counterclockwise means yellow, go that way.
Okay.
Then or don't go that way. Then the green flashing, and then we have blue goes top to bottom. So we did the colors and the patterns. So anybody that might be visually color impaired will understand this as well. And also having a different pattern gives it a special meaning. So we can take this same nomenclature of lights and we can put them on the other side of a football field. I come out of the door here and telling you go to the left. You come out of the left, you see the green flashing lights across the football field. So we can continue to move this, and it can be applied on a campus-wide basis.
Mike, do you want to show the unit itself right there?
Well, oh, sure.
I mean, because here's the unit. It's portable. It can be certainly attached to a wall. It's a fastball. It's the unit.
So snap. I mean, it's just a regular exit.
Yeah, I think that's it.
We can attach that to anything.
And I love push through. Wow.
So you could take 25 of those and place them on the way. So you're at a venue. It was not a stop. They become a portable security system.
And I love that you guys took into account people's impairments, whether it's, visually impaired or whether you're hearing impaired. That's fantastic.
Michael, I have another quick question. If this was a school and we did not have this, what would the scenario look like?
I'm on the Brian room.
Are you saying if we had an active assailant?
Yeah, let's just say that we don't have any of these flashing lights. This is the school that our children go to. A shooter comes in. What would protocol usually be to school? We've seen what it can be, but I want to just compare what it is now.
Sure. So,
Well, wait 1 second. Before we get there, we have to take a break. So after the break, we're going to have 2 more SafeEvAC experts join us. Both have personal experience with mass shooting incidents. We'll be right back.
America is under attack. Our families are being crushed under the politics of a radical agenda. But moms have had enough. We are standing up and we are fighting back.
This is our battle. This battle is every bit as important as the Revolutionary War because we fight for the same thing.
Moms for America is a national movement of moms reclaiming our culture for truth, family, freedom, and the Constitution.
I think Moms for America is exactly on track and is doing the right thing for the future of our country and our children.
Like Moms for America is going at the heart of the issue.
I want to go on the record and say I'm for moms, I'm for America, and I'm especially for Moms for America.
But I am honored to join Moms for America today as we speak out against the horrific mandates.
With a national network of over 500,000 mothers, Moms for America is one of the fastest growing movements of women in the country.
The most dangerous place in all of nature is between a mama bear and her baby cub.
We are the change. No matter what, no matter where, and no matter how difficult the obstacles are that are facing us and our families, we will not give up and we will not give in.
So if not now, then when? If not you, then who?
Welcome to the Mom-Led Revolution.
So good to know what it can look like and should look like.
Right.
But the big problem is, what does this really look like today? My son is in this school. A shooter comes in. We have no cameras, no direction, no communication, no police, no nothing.
Yeah. So let me take you back a couple of years to explain and compare and contrast. So if we go back to Columbine, we treated that as a barricaded subject, right? An armed barricaded subject was the wrong response. People lost their lives. And then as law enforcement started refining their techniques, they're like, wait a second, we cannot wait. We have to. And so they said, well, how about, we know they're a dangerous situation. They could have multiple actors. They're all armed usually. Why would we wait? Let's get into the building, but let's wait. Maybe the first 2 or 3 officers arrive, wait for a partner, get your equipment that you have in your car and you go in. But then we said, that's not even good enough. That is not good enough. We're looking at a window of 4 minutes. 4 minutes, and that is not good enough. So what law enforcement historically is doing now is they're in. First officer on scene, they will get their equipment. They are in the building. But let's look at this. We lay this out for you. What if they are coming in the building? They're going to the sound. They're looking for cues. So look, people are screaming. Gunshots may be ringing out. They're cueing on that to make their entrance where to go. With our system, certainly we could tell them from the exterior. We may have red. They know that don't enter here. Green is where you can enter. And with our system, we can tell them you're entering somebody who may have a long gun, versus a shotgun versus a
Or multiple.
or multiple.
So none of that
most of those,
information is available on your kids
It's not.
in blind.
So our police officers go into these situations blind, as you described them.
Yes, and with all the chaos with the hands raising,
Kids are running at you with their arms raised.
Then use off the ear
You
comms.
have no
like,
idea.
can't
They do
think.
their best job. Time is of the essence.
Right.
This puts organization to chaos, and more or less gives our law enforcement the ability to cue on certain things, and it will certainly send them in a different direction.
So it was a guessing game before, no guessing now.
Well, I would say a lot has been removed.
Yeah, right.
Remember, these are dangerous situations. Things could change, but they're going to go in with a lot more.
They're at least going to know
better
where.
intel, where to go, how to move,
All that.
the hallways, the direction, and more importantly, we want to stop that threat as fast as we can.
So if we had this in Uvalde, we would have been able to get those kids out, most of the kids out, instead of them staying in there and more kids being harmed.
It's very possible. It's very possible.
We need this. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Why wouldn't we have this? Are there any kind of blockades?
No, there's nothing.
It's just a matter of people not knowing about it. Well, I want people to know about it.
Yeah,
Everyone needs to.
here in the show will certainly get the message out.
Well, we are going to be right back with two of our other guests will be joining us with SafeEvAC who have personal experiences with school shootings. We'll be right back.
What kind of America do you want to leave future generations? What do you want America to look like for your children and your grandchildren? Our nation is at a crossroads, and it will be us, the mothers of America, who will determine the future of our country. What we teach and nurture in the hearts of our children and how we vote will make all the difference. If you love God, respect life, honor family, and cherish freedom, then use your voice and be heard. We teach these values in our home. Let's secure them with our vote.
We're talking about safety today on The Mom View. Michael Sandifer is the inventor and founder of SafeEvAC, a brand new evacuation technology. And joining Michael from SafeEvAC is COO Janine Hampton and John Yackel. Janine is the former lieutenant governor of Kentucky, and John is a former police officer, and he is currently the county commissioner of Uvalde, Texas. So, John, can you tell us what your first thoughts were when you first saw this model?
Well, I was first introduced to the gentlemen when they came to our community on their own volition, on their way to make a pitch in L.A., and when the incident occurred, I think they felt compelled just to stop by our community, see how our community was affected by it. We met purely by happenstance when they came into the office that I operate for the Convention and Visitors Bureau and Chamber for our community, and they just needed a map. And then I gave them a map. They were on their way, never knew anything else. And then they circled back and said, hey, we've got this really neat idea that we'd like to show you. Do you have a minute? And once they showed me, the evacuation was what they had in mind. But having been in law enforcement, the first thing that came to my mind was the practical use in the reverse, meaning that it rapidly allowed law enforcement to go to the point of contact where the action was occurring by following the exact opposite primary colors.
Right.
So I think the simplicity of it was what sold me, and that I thought, wow, this could be so useful that you're not requiring verbal instruction, that in real time you could rapidly move either to evacuate or to respond to the threat if you're in law enforcement.
So, Janine, I found it very interesting that you were involved in this as a former lieutenant governor. But then I totally forgot that there was a school shooting in your state, and you had direct interaction with that, didn't you?
I did after the fact. Marshall County High, it was in January of 2018. I'd been in office roughly 2 years, and we heard about the shooting. And in the days that followed, we were on the ground. Governor Bevan and I were on the ground. But I spent a lot of time with the families. There were only two kids killed, because obviously any deaths that are too many. Two wonderful 15-year-olds, Bailey and Preston, and there were about 19 others injured. And spending time with the family, and you get to see the cost firsthand of a shooting like this. And the shooter was a 15-year-old also. Troubled kid, and so there were just victims all around. And in the succeeding days, spending time with the families, consoling them, and ultimately attending both funerals, which were absolutely heartbreaking. Someone had found this is a small farming community in Western Kentucky, and someone had found a photo of Bailey and Preston in kindergarten holding hands. So it just broke your heart. And by all accounts, these were two teenagers. These were the kind of teens that you pray your teens turn out to be, actually. And then I kept in touch with the principal through the end of my term. And there's a cost, even with the surviving kids, there's a cost every single day with these kids. And so getting involved with this project was a no-brainer for me.
That's amazing. So Sarah, you live in Texas, and there have been a few school shootings here in Texas. What do you think about all this?
I'm wondering if it's just a moral decline in the hearts of people. That's what I was praying about. And yeah, it's like what causes these kids to go in and start shooting. And so that's where my heart was. What's wrong in the heart of these kids? Yeah. What's going on in their homes?
Yeah. So. And when these kids come into the school during the day, I mean, parents entrust the kids to the school. Kids trust that this is a safe place to be, and they're just doing their thing. And for something like that to happen, it's got to completely rattle them. So I love the fact that they're preparing so that they're not off-centered, when something like that happens. They've been prepared because they've had the drills, they're talking about it, and it's like, no, we're going to work together to make sure everyone's safe. And then, people in elected office can then come in and say, how can we help heal that community?
Yeah. I think we're at a crossroads now where we have to make America safer. Yeah, I guess. I'm really putting off that, but I mean, America has gotten, it's not safe anymore. We've got all kinds of folks coming across the border. We have problems just pouring in. To me, it's only going to get worse, and we only have to figure out how to do things better.
Yeah. Well, another thing that we talk about, we're talking about the different uses and how it can save lives and get medical response in quicker. But the other aspect of this that I think is really important is that this should be a place of learning, not a place of fear.
Yes.
And so every time they hear a loud noise, they stop, they listen, they wait for it and hope. And generally it's just a loud noise. But now with this system, we have something that's there listening, that's listening better and can react instantly. So it brings a peace of mind to both the students, the teachers, and the parents.
So have you shown this to different school districts? Have you been able to share it with school districts?
Oh, yes.
Get their input?
We've shared it with school board members across the country, with students, with teachers, and it's just universal response. So positive.
So why are the schools not saying let's do this? Do they think it's the cost issue?
Well, we've just now brought the product to market. So
you perfected it, and now you're ready. Hey, this is what we're going to do. Okay, now it's here.
It's here.
Now let's get it out there.
Yes, exactly.
So, Miss Janine, could you please explain or maybe speak to the concerns of parents that have children with special needs that may need to, get out using this technology?
Well, one of the beauties of the system, every system that's installed is tailored for that installation. So part of the sales process is determining what that building manager wants to do in the case of an event. If it's here, we're doing this. If it's here, we'll program in where those people should exit. But maybe they have a special needs class which those students may not take direction easily, and you want to lock them down. If it's in a senior citizen home, maybe you want to lock down. Maybe that's the better option than trying to evacuate.
So it's tailor-made.
It's tailor. It's
there we go. I like
exactly.
that.
I like tailor-made for every installation. So no two installations will be identical.
Now, did you find any challenges when you were creating this, or when you were, trying to come on to support this initiative?
Well, for the first year, I was working on several different technologies.
Okay.
And this was one of them. And for the first year, we were trying to come up with solutions. And the aha moment was when we said, wait, the exit sign. It hasn't changed for 100 years. And I said we can put everything we need to in the exit sign, and then at that point, then we had all our other goodies came out, such as individual room signs. Where you don't have an exit sign, so we have have a sign that will do that.
What about the stairway?
We have stairwell intersection signs. So when police are coming up, they see one color. People coming down see a different color. So we can communicate within the stairs. So it led to
It's very smart. This is kind of like, I don't know. Obviously it works because I've seen it. But what goes into being able to direct one group of people and a separate group of people at the same time is like pretty impressive that you're
absolutely.
Yeah, we're pretty we got patent. Of course, we've got patents on some of this. We got patent pendings on the rest of it, and I'm pretty excited about the stairwell sign.
There was a shooting roughly 10 years ago at the Navy Yard. And that that particular shooting, the bullets echoed, so they weren't quite sure where the shooter was. And at least one victim was going down the stairs and ran into the shooter, who was moving from floor to floor. So this stairwell sign would have helped tremendously. And another thing that happened in that particular shooting was when the first responders came, they went to the wrong building because an injured person had gone to that building for help. So they thought that's where the shooter was. This system mitigates all of those letters. There's communication.
Marshall County School, when the SRO, he was there, he's trying to figure out where to go. He goes up and asks the kids. The kids said he went that way. It turns out he went that way. And so total misinformation because
you're in mass chaos. You're not even thinking. And sometimes when the kids are coming out, the shooter's coming with them. And is it nobody? I mean, it's just to have any kind of less chaos is helpful, because then everybody, and especially if you've prepared for it.
Yeah.
And I think it's great how each one of you has a specific attachment to this issue. Your heart, your direct connection, and your story. The fact that you were living in Uvalde. Sorry, I say it wrong. Uvalde. When you were there, what was your role in the town that day? How?
So I had family members that were actually at the campus, and in the hallway affected, not in the two classrooms that the parties were killed and injured, but in that same hallway. So we had a niece that was teaching in that hallway just a couple doors down. We had a niece and a nephew that each had children that had to come. You saw coming out of those windows exteriorly when they were evacuating people. So in a small community, our county's less than 30,000, 15,000 in town. You're 1 degree or 2 degrees of separation from everyone knowing someone who was directly affected. I had small businesses there in the community for years. So I knew many of these victims personally.
Do you think there would be any reason for any school or any county to not implement this?
No, because the beauty of it is its simplicity. Because even if they have an existing security system, none of them that I'm aware of add this evacuation component. And it can be a standalone or it can be augmentation to an existing system. And because of the simplicity of it, it allows for easy accommodation to those existing systems. And then obviously in new construction can be built out. And when you're talking about, we're in the process of building a new elementary now, that's $50 million for one campus.
Right.
A new high school or junior high, $100 million. The amount of money is infinitesimal that we're talking about in the budget to add a system like this. Because for the kids, like you're talking about the primary colors, I'm a father of 5 daughters. Kids do better in stressful situations when they have information. And when you have something that's simple and easy that even pre-K kids get, it allows them to feel empowered that they could take some kind of action, and not just be sitting in their fear.
Right.
Well,
I did fire drills the entire time I was growing up, and it just became one of those things. The fire drill goes off and you just go off. So if there was a fire, I would just get up and go out. It's just one of those. So that's the preparation part. Being able to have something a tool that you can use to prepare the kids so that it is less stressful and they are ready to do whatever it needs to be done. And even if they have to shelter in place, it's something that they prepared for. Will it be scary? Yes. But I think it will be less scary because they're going to know that someone knows they're there and help is on its way.
And I'm just off the piggyback on that thought. I think like my son, I remember him, when 5 years ago, he was like worried about a shooter coming to his schools. We didn't grow up with that. We never had that happen. But now this generation has to worry about that. So having them feel safe, be able to concentrate, they have a plan. No, none of the kids want to be anywhere. Anytime these things happen, my son's like, I wouldn't do that. I'd jump out a window and run down the way. Like, I want a better plan. And they don't have a plan.
So off of that, how can our moms get involved with this, and where can they find you?
Janine, will share?
Well, the best way to get involved is to spread the word about the system.
Okay.
In fact, we want the moms to join us in spreading the word. Talk to your school board. Go to our website. There's information, and we can help you. We can help the moms spread the word. Just join us.
Yes.
In helping keeping our kids safe.
Well, how moms can get involved more and to make their communities and schools safer after the break. We'll be right back.
The Herzog Foundation exists to catalyze and accelerate the development of quality, Christ-centered K-12 education so that families and culture flourish. To do so, we've created comprehensive programs designed for Christian schools across the nation. One of those programs is found at readlion.com. The Lion carries news articles covering issues especially related to the education of children. These are timely, critical, must-read articles for families, educators, and leaders. Another program is the Herzog Foundation Institute, where we provide training for Christian educators led by national thought leaders in subjects such as marketing, donor development, and culture building. All training events are fully funded by the Herzog Foundation. And finally, with new Christian schools popping up all over the country, we've created a free online resource to help with the process. HF Schoolbox provides lessons and free mentorship to help launch groups navigate the startup process every step of the way. We're the Herzog Foundation. You can find out more at herzogfoundation.com.
Today, we've discussed SafeEvAC, an exciting new technology that evacuates a building quickly and safely during a crisis.
I'm looking at this sign, and it is just genius. Mm-hmm. I'm just re-saying and resharing some of this because we're all familiar with exit signs. The camera is in here, the communication, the direction, everything is in the room. I mean, you don't have to start from scratch, right? We're utilizing the exit sign. Brilliant.
Well, thank you.
This is a very good point. We're talking about all these buildings and everything, but
I see it even for homes. I live in rural Arizona. I have to deal a lot with the cartel crossing by. I know, and you might not. My house has a lot of sign that says we're loaded, so but this will be so ideal, right? Because if there's a threat, someone can press that button and then we just react. We know what's happening, even for homes, right?
That's great.
Awesome. Okay, well, we've seen the solution. How do we implement the solution? What can moms do? What are some action steps that we can take to help implement this and bring it forward to our communities, to our schools?
And if they go to the school board, if they go to the school superintendent, they like showing up like, hey, can you get this for me? Or what happened?
Well, I think one of the first things is our website.
Okay.
We have a mom's section on our website.
Wow.
So if any mom wants to get involved, they can go there. They can leave some information. And there's literally a list of check boxes of how, what they can do or willing to do. And that can be from communicating with your school superintendent, if they know them, the school board.
Okay.
It can be presenting at a local Moms for America group. Could be at a PTA meeting.
Wow.
And there's going to be schools that legitimately can't afford this, so it could be to help start a fundraising campaign to do that. So there's a lot of things that they can do, and it pretty much starts with their churches. That's another target that's increasingly, so they can take this to their local churches. But ultimately, it's go to the website and look at your options and see how you want to participate.
Okay, I think this is like a serious power of moms thing. And you said that when this came to you, you felt that who was going to sell this was going to be the moms.
My children, yeah.
Because they're our kids, and we want to make sure that we're getting this everywhere.
Well, and I we're Eric Shue, our president, I was we were talking about who's going to drive this. And I said, it's going to be the moms.
Wow,
and,
absolutely.
And interestingly, about 4 months later, we're presenting here. I've had a chance to meet Kimberly.
Praise God.
And we're presenting over a Zoom call, and I have Kimberly cry. She wept.
It was tough.
She pounded the table 3 times and says, I hate it, I hate it, I hate it that we have to talk about it. But here we are. We've been praying for a solution, and thank you. So, from that, it's been a true blessing, and we certainly do appreciate the affiliation with you.
Please give us the website.
Yeah. I want to know that.
Yeah, it's SafeEvAC, SafeEvAC.
Okay.
.com.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was just remembering how when I first joined the company before the COVID shutdowns, we spent a lot of time in Washington, D.C., as Mike talked about earlier, but we showed it to congressmen. And so one of the things I would recommend is that every mom contact your congressperson, your elected, your lieutenant governor, whatever it is, and tell them about this system.
They could have used it.
Absolutely.
It would have been helpful.
Absolutely. I have a friend. She's a grandmother, and she has a 4-year-old grandson. And I asked her, how much would you pay? He's just started kindergarten this fall. And how much would you pay to keep him safe? And she did this.
Mm-hmm.
She did everything I own.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So this system, there's a reason I opted to join this company after leaving public office, because having been in over 200 schools during my term, I just have an affiliation with the kids, and I know fear truly has no place in school. It doesn't. You need to be there to learn. Whatever it is, you're there to learn and not to be worried about someone coming in.
What you said, places of learning, not places of fear.
Exactly.
Would it be helpful too when parents communicate with their school or looking at a school or moving into a community to go to that school and say, what is your safety protocol? What would happen if a shooter came into the school? What do you have in place to protect our child?
Yes, I think that's a great question. We were presenting to a gentleman down in Houston, and his daughter, he was just getting ready to, the day before he took his daughter around to schools, and he was going to private schools, and he looked at this and he started weeping. He said, because it scared him about having to think about that. But he said, if any of those schools had this installed in their schools, that would be the deciding factor for which school he would select.
Wow.
Yeah. And I want to talk about, one of the more touching moments we had is we went to Uvalde numerous times and went to a local restaurant, and one of the local waitresses came up and says, we understand you might have a technology that might be installed here. And we said, yeah. And she said, I also know you have a demonstration model, talk in a small community. And she said, if we stayed open late, would you come in and show this to us? And so we had the waitresses, 5 of them, Edith, and we're very respectful not to say what our system would have done under those situations. We basically only talked about its capabilities. But one of the ladies reached over here and touched this model right here, and she says, if we'd had this in our school, our babies would be alive today.
Our prayers are still with all those moms who got lost. Well, thank you for figuring this all out and using the genius that God has given you to build this and create this and work with people that have a heart for saving our children, which is what we do here at Moms for America and what we like to talk about here on the Mom View. So thank you so much, you guys, for joining us here today on the couch to talk about how we can keep our children and our communities safer by using SafeEvAC, which is a new technology. Please make sure you visit their website at safeevac.com, and also make sure you visit our website at themomview.com. Follow us on all social media platforms. We'll see you next time.